You are now entering the horror section.
Hello, and welcome back to the Horror Sanctum podcast. I'm Jay with John and K Dog, and we are currently hunkered down in the basement of the Wayland Utani Corporation trying to stay quiet. But despite what's going on up there, we're still going to bring you a new episode down here. This week, we're talking about Fede Alvarez's 2024 take on an iconic franchise, Alien Romulus. If you're not familiar, you're in the wrong place. But space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe while scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station.
Alien Romulus. This very much a hyped movie, I think, to a lot of people. Everybody was kind of waiting for this. The trailer came out. I had not thought about it for a while because when the trailer hit, I forgot they were even making one. And I know that there was a lot of talks about a lot of different movies. Like I know that there's that TV show that I think is being worked on.
Alien
And
Earth. That was Alien Earth. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. And I just forgot he had the rights to this movie. And then the trailer came out. Trailer looked awesome. So this movie is set between Alien and Aliens, and it's basically a group of people on this planet, and they're trying to go to this other planet, and they're trying to steal a spaceship to get to this planet and hypersleep so they don't live and become miners the rest of their lives because they don't want to basically work in the equivalent of like a coal mine, right? It's like what a coal miner would be in this future, right? I like the movie overall. I think the vibe of the film that I got was it was a lot like Evil Dead Rise. It was very much like a kind of like a really well done fan film. Um, the score is great. The film is beautiful. The practical effects are awesome. Like the aliens, like they did great with all of that. They shot it widescreen. They did the best job of filming an alien film, like probably since I would say Alien 3. Like even Prometheus didn't look this great. The brother Andy is probably the best character. I liked him the most, the synthetic android. I thought that he was like awesome. The first part of the movie when you're getting introduced to the characters, I didn't like the Bjorn guy, the Irish dude.
Oh, so I'm not even going to wait till my notes. In my notes, the first fucking note I have is Bajorn is the aliens version of Franklin.
Yes,
Was that the
yes.
douchebag that kept? Oh my god!
He is so unlikable. He almost ruins the entire movie.
Spoilers. He should have died way more violent. Anyway, continue, John.
No, yeah, he's so dude, and he does that thing that I'm sorry, Irish people or English people, but he talks like marble mouth, like it's that like fast, like it's almost like Pikey and Snatch, Brad Pitt's character, that fast like Irish accent where I didn't even know what the fuck he was saying. Like I was literally listening, I was like, what is he saying? He was talking so quickly. I was missing lines, and I had to like when I rewatched it, I had to put the subtitles on. And I know that you can't help that, your accent. I was like, holy shit, dude, slow it down or something, you know? Um, I thought it was funny that they stole the ship and Wayland Utani didn't know. Like, I thought that was weird. You would think the minute they took that ship into outer space that somebody would be coming after them. But I guess maybe they had a way to just get it out into the atmosphere without them knowing. I don't know. Um, I knew that immediately when I saw, so they get on the ship and they see the android that's like, cut in half. I immediately knew what that was. I was like, that's going to be Ash from Alien, but it was Rook. So it was kind of cool the way they did that, that Rook was another version of the android synthetic model like Ash from Alien. And the whole idea is they all look similar, just like in Prometheus and Covenant, where David looked like the other guy. It's kind of this idea that there is somebody who made these androids, so they're a real life person and they model them after somebody, right? So I like that. I thought the CGI was not good. Like Rook, I don't know what it is about CGI still with eyes. Hollywood, they just still hadn't figured that out. Like they always they do everything fine, and then when it comes to like just this part of the face, it's always like shoddy with the eyes. Um, yeah, and there's a lot of things that they do that are stupid. the characters, but I can kind of forgive a lot of it. Like, when the facehuggers get out, it attaches to the one girl, her and the Irish dude, they run back to the ship. And I can kind of forgive that because they're panicking, right? They don't know what's going on. They're not used to the xenomorphs. They don't know this history and world building that we've known. So they kind of are just freaking the fuck out, right? And that's what people do in scared situations. They freak out. And honestly, she probably didn't even realize that thing had implanted in her. So I think when I watched it initially, I was kind of like, God, you idiot. And then I rewatched it and I was like, well, you know, you don't know what you do in that scenario. You'd probably panic. So I kind of forgave it a little bit. Now I will say that the minute I saw he started talking about, he kind of had that thing, Rook, where he was talking to Andy and then he was talking to the other crew members and he started talking about the black ooze. I immediately was like, oh, here we go, Prometheus. Like I knew exactly what they were going for, and I was like, here we go. And I knew Fede Alvarez likes that movie, so I was like, fuck. Because I just don't, I'm not a Prometheus fan. I think
But I made you rewatch it recently and you changed. You liked it a little bit better, right?
Yeah, I don't, it's not, yeah, I mean, I would say that overall, it's good. There's a lot of things about it that kind of frustrated me, but I think I think it's worth saying. It is a good movie. But yeah, I just thought that I knew where they were going with that. I thought it was funny, some of the lines, like when they're getting the guns and she's like, how do you learn how to do that? And he's like, games and magazines. And I'm like that doesn't translate to real life. Like, it's not the same thing. I mean, I get it. It's just trying to be funny, but I did like the acid thing in the air where the blood was like moving through the air.
You're taking all my notes, bro. You're taking all my notes.
Sorry.
That was such a genius scene.
Yeah.
Here's what I wish they changed a little bit on it since you brought it up. I wish in the beginning when they were going through the tunnels and it had the dead rat and the gravity was fluctuating,
Yeah,
where the rat would rise and fall. I wish they did that in that scene. That would have made it more terrifying. Like, okay, it's above you, you're floating, it's floating, so that's fine. But as soon as it drops, like you have to get out of the way. That would have made it a little bit more intense, I think.
yeah. I think they could have tweaked that. I agree. I mean, it's a cool idea. I now, like, is it practical? I mean, who knows? It's one of those things where when you start getting into practical and impractical, I mean, fuck, in Aliens, she's like pulling herself up and the ship opens. I mean, it's all fiction, right? So I think at that point, you're just, it's splitting T's and all on that. A lot of fan service. I think the only fan service thing that really like made me kind of cringe was when Andy was like, "Get away from her, you bitch." I was like, why would an android say that? Like that was just a little bit. That was like a little too on the nose, right?
Yeah.
I just felt like they didn't have to put that in. The creature at the end, scary. I knew right when it hatched and I saw that face, I was like, God dang it. I was like, it's an engineer mixed with a xenomorph. I knew what they were doing, and I was like, it is creepy. I'll give it this. Like, that is a really scary practical creature.
Well, the dude is scary. Like, I don't know which one I rather encounter, the xenomorph hybrid that we see at the end, or him, the guy who was in that suit in real life, because they are both terrifying. I do apologize to him. He can't help it, but he's terrifying.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think it is scary. Even though I don't like Prometheus, I don't love it. I think I could see why they would do that. I will say the last thing, and I'll pass it on, is she was like the most lucky person ever at the end of this movie. Like, she literally was like, what's that character in Deadpool 2, Domino?
Yeah.
She had like Domino's power. She was so lucky. Every little thing that happened. I mean, she should have been dead like 20 minutes before the end of that movie. So overall, though, I did like it. I really think it's a good movie. There's little things about it that kind of I can nitpick. So yeah.
You mentioned Snatch real quick. I just want to say that's a 5-star movie to me. So I love that movie. I bet I've seen that 20 times. And you're dead on with that accent, the pikey accent that Brad Pitt had in that movie, where you pick out words, which was good because I hated that guy. I didn't want to know what he was saying. Also, this movie showed that given the xenomorph is basically Batman. Given enough time, it would murk predator all day, every day. Did you see how quick it basically encapsulated that whole pod with other aliens ready to go and murder? Like, I mean, like you said, she got very lucky repeatedly. um, and part of that was having Andy, who has a HAL 9000 moment. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, super lucky to get out of that situation. They were everywhere, and it was one of those situations. Start off, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I really, really did enjoy this as a pure horror film. I don't think you could call it as technically. I mean, it's a sci-fi because it happens to be, but this is a horror film. This is our monster just happens to be one we're familiar with from the sci-fi genre. The opening was very Kubrickian. I don't know if that's a way to say it. Mixed with like Lucas vibes, like the music, the screens, which cracks me up now knowing where technology is and where they thought it was going to be, and it was still that almost that print type letter on the screens. And I'm like, in the future they're going to have displays that are way more like what Tony Stark has in Iron Man. They're going to be displays right in front of their face that they can touch in the sky. It's not going to be picture tube TV that's just putting up letters by the one at a time. But yeah, like I said, that doesn't take away from the movie. They're keeping with the history of Alien because that's what we got in the first Alien. That's where they thought future was going. So it follows in line with the story. Of course, there's a pregnant lady on the ship. For all the people that you have to bring with you, you bring the biggest D-bag on the planet and a pregnant lady who just happened to get pregnant.
Lindsay said, that poor pregnant lady, she didn't do anything. She's just there.
She did one thing.
That's
and
true.
Speaking of things, did we need an up close visual of the face hugger's peen slapping that dude in the face? Like, was that necessary?
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
I didn't
See, it was like, it looked just like a penis, and it was slapping him in the face though for a good 3 seconds of film. It was zoomed right in. I don't know how you missed it. And then when it pulls it off, and it's just like, which made me realize this is a very phallic creature. The face hugger with the penis that goes in the mouth, and then it has a giant penis tail. The alien itself, the xenomorph, having the penis come out of its mouth, basically, and then its whole head is shaped like
the pod it came out of. That's the first time we got like an up close pod like that, right? It looked exactly like a vagina.
Yeah,
that he puts freezer thing or whatever the electric trick prod into.
Yeah,
like that. Go back and look at that. That's
it was. You're right. It was very vaginal looking. It's very. And didn't they open more like this in the original one?
Well, the face huggers, yeah,
the eggs that birds in the original. Okay, but it's very. I didn't realize that until we sat down and started talking to it, and I was like, that's. I was looking through my notes and I was like, now that I think about it, so maybe Ridley Scott was just trying to tell us something. I don't know. But the pacing of this movie, it's an hour and 58 minutes, and it does not feel like an almost 2-hour movie because the pacing's so well. And that's where movies like this become hit or miss. And a lot of the times the miss is they spend too much time getting to the climax. This movie spends about 30 minutes of the 2 hours getting to the point where you know that it's about to go down. Like we see the face huggers in the little cards or whatever you want to call them that are I don't know, cataloged in that room, and you know that, okay, well, this is about to happen. It's about to get really bad for these people. And we know that's what's going to happen going into it because that's what happens in every Alien movie ever. It's about to get really bad for a small group of people who are unlucky enough to be in the same vicinity as these things. And talk about an apex predator. You shoot it and you're still not safe because it bleeds acid. like John said, that scene where they're having to float through the zero gravity thing, which was a nice nod to all the little dad jokes. That it happened to be one of the dad jokes that saved her. So that was a neat little aside. It wasn't necessary, but obviously if a dad programmed a robot to take care of his daughter, he's going to throw in some, things that will remind her of him. So I thought that was a nice little touch. Andy, and I feel like some of this movie may have been inspired maybe by 2001: A Space Odyssey. And like I said in the beginning, it had that feel of when we first get on the spaceship in 2001. The music kind of had that same 70s sci-fi feel. It quickly progresses into what we more associate with horror films. It's a lot darker, that those deep bass tones with like the higher pitch noises. But the beginning was almost like playful, which reminded me, why does all the companies in the future, why are they evil overlords? Like, at what point can we not just have like the same corporations as now, but the pizza party is just not enough for these people
So
that are having to work
aren't large organizations evil to a degree already?
Yeah,
right?
but this is like
right?
this is like she's like, I've done my hours, and they're like, oh yeah, your contract changed right now, and now you have to do twice as many hours, so we own you forever.
That's TOA. That tracks actually.
But it's just I just want one time for it to be, they're just dissatisfied, and they're just like, you know what, screw this, I'm out. And then, oh no, it's so much worse on the other side. Because you always, even in the Terminator movies, you're like, oh well, Skynet's the worst, Wayland Corporation the worst, like it's Umbrella Corps the worst. They're all just absolute monster facilities that happen to employ people to die. I guess is a good way to look at it. But Andy has his HAL 9000 moment when they put the new chip in him, and he tells her that basically with the door, when he shuts the door and they're like, open the door, he's like, I can't do that. It very reminiscent of that moment in 2001: A Space Odyssey when Hal says, I'm sorry, whatever the character's name is. I watched that movie at 3:00 in the morning. So but I mean, it very reminiscent of that scene. Even the scene where they're floating through, it was kind of reminiscent of the scene where they're floating in 2001. It kind of has that beautiful, it's one of the prettiest shots in the movie. You see the person just kind of floating in the circle. But overall, I thought this movie was very well done. The ending is probably the only thing that I had a problem with, and that's why I said in the beginning that a given time, Alien would absolutely wax Predator, because that woman was pregnant, basically first trimester. She's having morning sickness. That's usually like the end of month 1, and within 47 minutes, because they state that they're 47 minutes away from hitting after they got knocked off trajectory. So we'll say generously 3 hours, she has birthed a fully grown xenomorph human, whatever, hybrid baby that has made her, like, at what point did her stomach just start to bulge out and she was just like, oh my god, what's happening? Like, most people, that would have like split her open anyway, because she wouldn't have had room for that giant egg that came out of her. But yeah, just the reproductive ability of these things is insane. Makes no sense. It makes no sense. And to John's point, that creature at the end was absolutely terrifying. It definitely reminded me of Prometheus, of the main baddie or villain, whatever you want to call him in that. Yes,
it was definitely an engineer. For sure.
It had that look in the face. The body was obviously a little more different. I thought that was a weird choice for me. If you're going to be like, this is the future of humanity, we've got to get this back to the colony, back to the corporation, so that they can, use this to create. Why would the hybrid look so horrifying? It still had the thing that came out of its mouth. Like, if you're talking about a perfect human hybrid, then you want the borderline indestructibility that these aliens have, that they talk about. Impervious to climate, to weather changes. They can change their metabolism, speed it up, slow it down, whatever they need. Speed it up to give birth quicker, slow it down to live in basically a cryogenic space. Why would you give it such terrible proportions? Like, you would think it would just be like in Prometheus, like a larger version of a human that's smarter, faster, and better equipped to deal with whatever comes at it. But all that to say, none of that takes away from the fun of watching another Alien movie, and then one that's well done. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, the pacing was good. It didn't feel stale. When the one guy died, I cheered. I was glad that he was gone. And they did just enough backstory to have you buy into the lead, to have you buy into Andy. So like I said, they didn't dawdle too long in that. They didn't try to build a big sob story. They were just like, oh, she's screwed over. She doesn't have any other option. Oh, there's an option. There is another option, and then everything hits the fan. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like this movie a lot. I would recommend it to somebody else, and yeah, that's my thoughts.
Nice. I feel like I haven't heard you say that about a movie in a while, so that's refreshing. Refreshing. I just got my second breath. I think the reason the Alien looked that way is because it's not perfect yet. Like they're still experimenting and doing things, so they haven't got that formula quite right. So that gene pool is still a little shallow. So I think as they progress, they will get more and more human-like. Maybe, I don't know. So Alien Romulus, I saw in theaters. I don't go to theaters anymore. You guys know that. I just I live beside one, but we have places we can watch movies. I always buy movies. It's really hard to get me into the theater. I think I've gone 4 times, 5 times this year. So Trap was the first one. Alien Romulus was the second one. Terrifier 3, Speak No Evil. And I feel like there's one in between that probably has red on the poster as well, because that seems to be a theme this year. But I got an alien popcorn bucket, which I'm going to show you. Oh. And Kellen, it's not phallic at all. I don't know. How did you come up with that?
All I know is that the pictures that we saw of the fleshlights put inside the Wolverine bucket were not as phallic as that.
True. That's so true. Like, I still wish I got one of those buckets, but unfortunately I did not. But I did get an Alien. It's beautiful. I didn't even put popcorn in it. It took me 30 damn minutes at Opry Mills to get it, because everyone there is either 16 or 68, and no one knows how to do anything. But digress. First off, Fede Alvarez did the Evil Dead remake. Fede, my boy, loves the color red. He loves this color so much. You know what else he loves? He loves franchises. So he did Alien, which is Alien Romulus, which is already a franchise. Evil Dead remake, already a franchise. He co-wrote the story for 2022's Texas Chainsaw, which divided horror fans like a mofo. I enjoyed it. He helped write The Girl in the Spider's Web.
Is that the one on the bus scene?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I love.
I enjoyed everything but the last 5 minutes of that movie. I really enjoyed that one, except that.
Yeah, so he likes to dip his hands in other people's stuff. He also gave us Don't Breathe, which we love that movie. I'm pretty sure we all do. That was such a great movie. Sequel, nah. But
Don't Breathe. Sorry, I'm just interject. But Don't Breathe the one with the guy that's blind, right?
Rapey guy. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Lindsay said I couldn't say rapey. Rapey's fine, right? We've said that before on the show. Like, I think you guys understand.
It's not fine.
Yeah,
as a
but
word it is. But
right. I'm like, Lindsay,
it's definitely not a vibe you want to give off.
Right. I mean, like I said, he's kind of rapey. She's like, can you say that? I'm pretty sure. I don't see why not. Like, if someone's being rapey, they're being raped. Man,
how else are you going to warn somebody that somebody is raping?
Right. Anyway.
Turkey baster guy. Yeah.
Fede Alvarez has done enough in his career so far to make me a fan, and I look forward to anything he does coming up. He took a franchise that was kind of forgotten, right? Like 1 and 2, almost God tier, if not God tier. I know they probably are in John's eyes. They're definitely up there, upper echelon for me. But it fell off after 1 and 2. I think we can agree to that. Some of them were fun. We have nostalgia for some of them. I get it. I think after I watched it again, I text John. I'm like, why in the 90s did everybody want to play basketball? Snake Plissken plays as I got an awkward basketball scene in Alien Resurrection. I think there's an awkward basketball scene. I'm like, what is going on? Just a sign of the times, I guess. Prometheus, I enjoyed. Covenant, I enjoyed, but it wasn't quite the same. They were going for a different story with the prequels and the engineers and all that. So we were thirsty for something like this. And I do truly believe that some franchises, some movies deserve to be remade and retooled with the technology that we have today. Alien is one of them. Like, that franchise will thrive on special effects. For some reason, they screwed up Rook the entire film. Like, every time you see Rook in Romulus, he just looks so terrible. It reminded me of when Henry Cavill was having the issues where he was filming Mission Impossible, and they're like, well, you guys shave your mustache. Like, well, I'm not. So what we do, they CG'd Superman's mouth, and it looked terrible. Absolutely terrible. Like, do better on that. Do better. There's no reason for that in 2024. Make it, he's dead, I assume. Is he dead?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So make a cast. Find someone who looks similar. there's so many options you can win, or pay a little bit more into that side of the budget. I don't know.
Mhm.
That was one of my biggest knocks besides Bjorn, which we've discussed already. He was so unlikable. It made me want to puke. And no, you couldn't understand a damn word. And guess what? Someone who wears hearing aids is 10 times worse. So I'm just like, I don't know what this dude's saying. I just know he's an asshole. So he was awful. However, David Johnson, who played Andy, was absolutely amazing. I've never seen this dude before in my life. And it's hard to describe because it's the way I feel. But the first time I saw Tom Holland as Spider-Man, I'm like, this kid, he's got something. Like you could just tell. And it was the cafeteria scene where Zendaya says something and it's him, and then he just looks and it's like just that. It was something so simple. I'm like, this dude's good. I got the same feelings from David Johnson. He was so great as Andy. Being able to stay almost emotionless the entire time that's just a work of art. Kaylee Spaney, who was Rain, was also fantastic. Here's the movie she was in this year: Alien Romulus, A24's Civil War, and Priscilla, which I think is also A24. She is knocking it out of the park, and she's so young. So we got a lot to look forward from her as well. The only other big note I had was what John touched on too, is the spacewalk, the acid blood spacewalk. That was such a neat idea. That felt like it came from someone who is truly a fan of the franchise. And I think Fetty was, and it shows there. Like there's something that we would all think about when we were watching the originals, like all these different scenarios that they could get in, especially with that acid blood. And I don't know, that whole scene, that's probably my favorite scene in the entire movie. I also enjoyed the face huggers. We got more of them because of, special effects, and they're all in the water. That takes the face hugging to a whole new level of terror with water on the ground. Also like the x-ray machine that the one girl who got the chest buster, like that was such a cool idea too. Like, oh, look at this. Oh, I can see my bones. And then she takes it with her, like, oh no. Such a great idea. Like little things like that made this movie, put it over the top for me. My last thing, and then we'll do our ratings and close out. Ridley Scott, does anybody know what he told Fetty when he said he was going to do this movie? And I quote, "Don't fuck up." That's what his message was to Fetty. And he enjoyed the movie from what I've read. So bravo. Thank you for bringing back a beloved franchise and doing it right. We could talk about Alien versus Predator for a bit if you want to do that. Or I'd rather get a kidney stone. But that's another one that I think they should revisit with better writers. I think because they were both on Earth, but the first time I watched the first one, where they are underground, it doesn't even register as Earth to me, So I kind of like the second one better because it was Earth. It was like Oregon or Washington State, wherever it was. It was a big forest area. That's a great idea to have aliens running loose. And when I watched it again recently in the last 2 months, that movie sucks. It's probably the worst of the franchise. Fetty, if you're listening to this, which I know you are, let's look at Alien versus Predator for your next project. All right. Okay. Let's give our rankings and then we'll close up. So this is a great movie. I absolutely loved it. I want everybody to watch it. I made Lindsay watch it. I stuck with a 3.5. It's closer to a 4 than a 3, clearly. But after watching it again, I do enjoy it. But 1 and 2 still have it beat by light years. So I stuck with a 3.5. John?
Yeah, it's funny. The David Johnson guy, he's definitely got that thing like Michael Fassbender did in the Prometheus Covenant movies, where he kind of steals the show. Like he's awesome. It's funny you're talking about the alien birth time earlier. That is something that's always been odd consistency wise, because in the original, the guy who first gets the face hugger, it takes him like a day before it comes out. And then Alien 3, I don't know if you want me to spoil this, Kellen, but let's just say someone in that movie, it takes the entire movie for the chest burster to come out. So it was very fast in this movie. I liked it. I did like this movie. It's hard because Aliens is a perfect movie. Alien 1 is close to a perfect movie. So the fan service aside, I'd say 3.5 out of 5, 3.5.
Kellen?
So you said Fede Alvarez was the director. Just to piggyback off of Jay's fawning over him. He doesn't try to do too much. There's fan service. He does exactly what the movie needs or what people are expecting. It isn't trying to reinvent the wheel. He's just trying to bring it to modern audiences in a way that modern audiences will appreciate it, while also remembering the people who made that movie popular enough to make a franchise. So yes, I'm down with. I'm like with Jay. If he wants to tackle another franchise, absolutely. Who's the guy that did Halloween Ends?
We don't say his name anymore.
Never let that guy do another franchise ever. Throw him away. He's done. You're done.
Well, the only good thing from that, though, with him either being asked to walk away, is Mike Flanagan picking up and doing the next Exorcist movie. I'm super excited about that. Like he's
crushing everything horror that he's touched too.
He's awesome.
He's phenomenal. Anybody else seen Hush?
No.
Okay, go watch Hush.
Hush is great.
It's got his wife. It's fantastic. Sorry.
Noted. So while y'all were talking, I did pull up the Rotten Tomatoes. So Alien, 93%.
Mhm.
Aliens, 94%. Romulus, any guess?
87.
89.
80. Which I think looking at ratings, the way things happen now, and I think that it portrays exactly the way we did. Those movies are so good. Like Jay said, God tier. I mean, you can basically say 4.5 and 5 for Alien and Aliens. I mean, and that's only because you're not giving room to go 4.9 and 5, because they are just fantastic movies. And that's a testament to this one, that it's still so high, because guess what Alien 3 was? 44%.
That's being generous.
So I think because of how great and spoiled we were to have Alien and Aliens be so good, it bumps this one down, and it's no fault. I think if those didn't exist, this would be an easy 4. I think, like both of y'all said, I'm going with a 3.5, because it just it would be like having those as your parents. And the expectations for you are going to be so high, and if you don't absolutely nail them, it's obviously going to be slightly disappointing. But yeah, 3.5 for this.
So I don't know how good you guys are with math, but that was a 3.5, a 3.5, a 3.5, which puts us at carry the 4, 3.5.
TJ would be proud.
Thanks, TJ. We did math without you. All right, so that's going to be it for this episode. 3.5 for Alien Romulus. Do check it out. I pre-ordered the steelbook already because I have a problem. It's beautiful and red, clearly. If anybody wants to buy my Alien popcorn bucket, message me. It's $100. It could be yours, and you can put on shirt like a gun, like pew 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 pew, because the large penis back. But be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to wherever you're listening to this podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. Join our group on Facebook. If you have Amazon Music, we have a playlist that I update every week with music involving guests that we've had on the show, or the scores or the soundtracks for the movies that we talk about. It's pretty good. And come back next week for our Thanksgiving episode, where we will all go around and say what we're thankful for. And we're going to talk about a movie directed by Eli Roth. You can probably figure it out. If you can't, God help you. All right, I'm Jay with John and Kellen. And until next time, keep it spooky.
I was leaning so far away from the microphone so that John could to hint to John. I leaned so far away from my mic. I was
so lost. We're so lost without TJ to do that at the end.
So
we're just
funny.
like, what do we do? What do we do? He's gonna go. No, he's gonna go.
I just thought about this, and the alien itself, the actual xenomorph, is not in this movie very much. It's kind of like Beetlejuice in the first Beetlejuice movie, or I mean, it's more the face huggers and the chest burster or whatever you call it.
Face hugger.
The face hugger, and then whatever busts out of the chest.
Yeah, chest burster. What's our rankings on Beetlejuice? I just watched it.
3.52. I think
3.
I think I'm between 3 and 3.5.
Yeah.
So I will admit, watching at home, I was slightly distracted, but I felt like it got resolved very quick.
Yeah.
And Beetlejuice didn't do anything.
Well, I think the problem with this one is they did too much. Like Tim Burton tried to squeeze in 30 years worth of ideas in an hour and 45-minute movie, and that's my problem with it. I feel like you could have developed more of the background of Beetlejuice. You could have used what's her name? I can never remember. She was the Merovingian's wife in Matrix
Monica
Reloaded.
Bellucci.
Monica Bellucci. You could have used her more as the villain. The way they resolved the ghost boy that tricked Lydia's daughter into.
Oh, you mean Joe Goldberg from You? I swear that was Joe Goldberg.
But the way that they resolved that, where it was just like he's dead. By the way,
Yeah.
he just died. He got pulled to hell. By the way, so it's done. That's done. Like you did too much. Like I feel like that could have been the third movie.
Yeah.
Like her realizing that ghosts are real in this one, and then her coming to the realization that she has the same ability as her mother, carries over into the third one with this guy becoming the main villain, and that's when they get enlist Beetlejuice. I think too, I would have preferred if maybe this one did end with Lydia Dietz marrying Beetlejuice, like that ends up being the ultimate, and then the third one you find out why he's always does it give him more power? Does it give him free reign? Because he has all the power that he has in the underworld in the real world. So what's his ultimate goal? As far as there's got to be something more than just, I don't have to be a demon anymore, or I don't have to be a ghost. I looked it up after we talked about it. He's technically a ghost.
I think he's Satan.
Well, it said
I actually think he's just the devil.
It said he's known as the ghost with the most. That he's just a ghost, but
yeah.
But there's something has to explain why he has the power that he has and other ghosts don't. Why is he different? I feel like that's where it should have gone. I feel like Lydia should have married him, and then the movie could have ended with Michael Keaton saying it's showtime, and then you have the third one where you find out what his ultimate goal was. Why was he so obsessed with this one person who has a connection to the spirit world? Why was he so obsessed with getting to marry her? You could have expanded on that and created a trilogy, but now you've kind of shoehorned yourself.
I just think
so
Tim Burton now, since like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's like his writing style and the people that get to write for him, it's very much a vibe that's very unique versus the way he used to do things. And now he's got these people, especially like this in Dark Shadows, he's got these people writing for him that like, they're very much writing as if they think this is what Tim Burton wants to see. They're like, it's like somebody told me it's like if an AI wrote a Tim Burton script. That's what this movie was. It's not bad. Yeah. It's fucking weird. Like the end, I think my friend they call it a dentata where they're singing and all. I'm like, what in the hell? Like and I know saying that Beetlejuice is weird is like, of course it's weird. But when I say weird, it's like, it's weird in a way that you're just kind of confused. You're just like, that is very like Willem Dafoe's character. Like, what was the point of his character?
Yeah, there's no point. No point. And he's so underutilized because it's freaking Willem Dafoe, one of the greatest actors we have on the planet right now. That was an odd choice too. The villain was odd. It's not a bad movie by any means. No. There was a lot of Bobs. Kellen, you said that's your favorite pop figure. That's not a pop figure. I don't care what it says on the box. That's not what a pop figure looks like, which is what's kept me and my OCD from getting it because it is cute. But that's not a pop figure, bros.
It is a pop figure when the head's been shrunken.
That's funny.
Because they made his body normal sized and then a little tiny head. So shrunken head pop figure.
I'm not gonna. You're not gonna win that one with me. But
also have a stuffed Bob as well. So that I don't have with.
Was Bob your favorite character?
Bob was hysterical. Bob was like every Disney movie, whatever that one. There's always that one creature that's like adorable and comic relief. It's Olaf in the Elsa movies. It's the bug in the Tiana movie.
Yeah,
about Doug Jones,
Sebastian, and
the guy from Hocus Pocus. Why can't I think of his name?
The Thackeray Binks.
No.
The Scarecrow thing.
Yeah. Doug.
No,
not Doug Jones. Is it Doug Jones?
I've met
the man before. He kissed me on the forehead.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I don't know if it's. I guess it might be Doug Jones. I don't know who plays that.
No,
It's
are you
Doug
talking about
Jones.
the actor?
It is Doug
It's Doug
Jones.
Oh,
Jones.
I was trying to
Yeah.
think of his actual
Okay.
name.
But
In the movie.
that's the live action version. But that's kind of the same thing. Like
Yeah.
he's supposed to be a bad guy. I'd be like, well, he's fun, you know.
But yeah, you made a good point, John. It does feel like this is being written for Tim Burton because Tim Burton used to be dark with humor.
Right.
Now it feels like they're making humor in the style of Tim Burton. If that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, like and it is hard when you make so many good movies to keep doing things that are like original. I don't know. I just don't, and I didn't really like how they introduced him. Like it was kind of like he's a manager. I always like the idea that Beetlejuice is just kept locked away in a box or something. Like I almost wish they would have introduced him like he's dead in a coffin and he just like comes up and he's been, I don't know. I just
Well,
I
that's
didn't like
kind of how they
introduced
present him in the first movie is that he's
Yeah.
He lacks the power until his name is said 3 times. He's kind of just there.
Maybe it's just because it's a sequel too. But that original when we watched it just had something special, and this one just doesn't have that. My favorite part of it though is where he wanted Bob to watch the portal to the real world, and then all those other shrunken head guys just instantly stood up and ran out the door. That was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah. It was
Alien Romulus / Beetlejuice episode,
Right.
Yeah, it was just, but I mean, it was too big. It was just too big, and again, that's another thing that was so good about this Alien. It's small. They don't bring it to 1,000 people. I mean, the Beetlejuice. I mean, the original one was just located to that house. It didn't venture out into the rest of the neighborhood or into the underworld but briefly. When you go too big, it's go big or go home. I also think that we're so cynical now as viewers that studios want something they feel is going to appeal to people. And so I think that's the drive now is they're trying to make things that they think, the same genre that buys albums now, the 14 to 18-year-old girl. I mean,
but Beetlejuice doesn't belong to them. Beetlejuice belongs to us, our age.
Right.
Yeah, and that's but I feel like they're not willing to shell out money on things like this unless their little group of guys in suits walk in and say, yeah, the kids will love this. Like, and part of that I do blame the MCU. They made it so profitable to be almost like cookie cutter, because if you start to look at all those movies, they do kind of fit in the same mold, but it's a good thing. It's for them. But not every movie needs to fit in that mold.
It's weird how they've like been predicting AI for so long. Even Ridley Scott, like they make all these alien movies, but it's weird that in some weird way they're making movies about androids and synthetics and robots. Like that's always the I wonder if that was like, I'd love to hear him talk about that because he's literally predicting all this shit that's like happened for so
Let's
many
get him on the
years.
show. Let's get him.
I'll make a call or two.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this, then we can go. So the too big feel, I get that. So I saw Hellboy 2 in theaters and I didn't like it. I thought they tried too much. It was too big. Now I love it, start to finish. So I hope that Beetlejuice has that same effect. Where when we watched it, we went in expecting this original movie we love and cherish it to be similar to that, but we didn't quite get that, so we didn't like it. But in the future, I think we'll come around on it a little bit more slowly. But it was fun, if nothing else. Yeah. Watch Casa Bonita Mia more.
I've got way too much that I need to watch already.
Oh, you need to go to Dirt Cheap in Madison, even though you're going out of town, because they're going out of business. And I sent you everything I got yesterday. You can get that and more. A lot of still books.
They still have a lot left.
Well, that was yesterday. So
now, are all Dirt Cheaps or just one in Madison? Because I think there's one in Hendersonville.
There's not. There's Smyrna, Murfreesboro.
What is it in Hendersonville?
Madison. But they're all going. They filed for bankruptcy, so they're going bye-bye. It was the saddest news I heard.
So you mean a store that's whole business model was throwing shit into a one large room that was barely organized,
basically,
and had a system where you didn't know what the price was unless you used an app to scan? Wasn't a great business model.
Slowly went downhill. When they first opened, dude.
Hey, how much is this DVD? Wouldn't you like to?
Right. They when they first opened, they were legit. I found a bunch of Mondo steelbooks there that I at the time I sold and flipped for a ton of money. I wish I kept them like the thing, but they had a manager and he kept that thing tidy as hell. But
Mhm.
it is not the case anymore. But
Where do you
they
keep
have
your Blu-ray players? In the clothes, like everyone does.
I think you bought one thing from there. It was like a long chainsaw, right?
That was
Chainsaw.
the pruner.
Here's a chart. It's like, how much is this? 40%. So let me see. Oh, so it's like every time I look at the prices, I'm having to do this math. I'm
Remember
like-
how you said you would never need this math in high school? Surprise, mother!
you do
It's
here.
like Dirt Cheap is like if Mr. McKay's reorganized his store on acid. I'm just assuming McKay's is owned by somebody named Mr. McKay. But yeah,
It is now.
it's gross place.
And
But I'm
Dirt
gonna
Cheap
miss it.
is named after somebody named Dirt Cheap.
We'll do a Dirt Cheap memorial when it closes. Of course, I said, when's your last day? We don't know. Oh, sorry.
Is that what they said?
Yeah.
They were mad about it. It's
I'm
funny.
like, I just want to know because I want to come spend more money here. Like, how many paydays do I have left until you close? So
That that would be a good test of the social contract to just walk in with a buggy of and just fill it up with stuff and then just try to walk out and see how
I've
much
seen
the
people do
employees-
that at Dirt Cheap before.
how much the employees care about even trying to stop you if they're just like
They didn't care when they were thriving. They certainly don't care now.
No.
People literally did that. It was insane.
Wow.
So, all
Wow.
right. Good episode. Adios.
see y'all in it.
Oh, the
11
substance
days.
was good. Anybody? No one else seen the substance yet?
Not
right?
yet.
haven't yet.
I haven't yet.
I know Kellen has that thing about the girl because she didn't shave her pits and something, but she.
She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
And
She
I
was
text
part of the Manson family.
TJ asked, "You guys recording?" So I told him about substance too, but she's fine in that, but I don't think it's always her body. So
You know that's Andy McDowell's daughter.
I didn't know that.
It's
Andy
weird.
McDowell,
I
like
know.
from Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, I didn't. I
One and
never
only.
put that together until recently. Yeah.
Well, it was good, but it's 2 hours and 21 minutes long, which is insane. But the reason is it seems like everything that happens takes 15 minutes. But it's also one of those movies that it didn't feel like it was that long. It does feel like it's 2 hours, but it's well worth it, and it gets super fucking weird at the end.
Oh, nice.
So
Very cool.
highly recommend it. Great film. All right. Enjoy your trip. Oh, you go Thursday, so we'll talk before that.
Yeah, we'll leave Thursday morning. I might try to swing by Dirt Cheap tomorrow just to see if I can snag anything before they.
That's
may or
my
may not
excited
close.
ears. What?
What? That's funny.
All right. Adios.
Peace, y'all.